Hey everybody, welcome. Sophia Parola here with the Garden State Film Festival, and right now I am interviewing the people behind the making of the short film Almost Winter. Beautiful film, it's a great story. I have with me Daniel Rashid, the writer and one of the leads in the film, and Austin Kolodney. He directed the film. So, thank you guys for joining me.
Well, thank you for having us.
Sophia, yeah.
Of
Excited.
course, my pleasure. Truly, I love to do this. Before we get started, can I have you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and then tell us a little bit about Almost Winter?
Go ahead, Jana.
All right. I'm an actor. I make my living acting, but I also love writing, directing, producing, editing. I love all of it. And so this story is somewhat based. It's semi-autobiographical for me. It's about an aging physics professor named Tom in the story, and his assistant Eli, who is a recent college graduate, and their friendship is put to the test as Eli realizes he's less of an assistant and more of a caretaker for Tom, as Tom's mind and body start to kind of deteriorate at the end of his life. And it's funny. It's a comedy, dramedy.
Yeah. Thank you for that wonderful description, Daniel. And Austin.
Yeah, I'm Austin. I'm a writer, director. I normally also work mainly in the comedy space, but I think where Daniel and I align, it's why we collaborated on this, is like we like things that kind of walk that tightrope and are able to, poke fun at things that are otherwise like macabre and dark and, like death and aging and retirement and, career anxiety. And I don't know, it's simultaneously where we find humor and stress in our lives. So yeah, we're buds from USC days. We went I transferred in like 2012. I forget when you got there, Daniel, but we had some overlap during our time at USC, where we actually both in different points in time, Daniel more so than myself, had a great professor named Michael Keenan, who Daniel went on to work with and is largely, I think, served as inspiration for the story that we told.
Oh, lovely. Thank you guys for giving that background. I did see the in loving memory of Michael at the end. So my first question was, what was the inspiration behind writing this? Daniel, Austin, you too, like what inspired you guys to make this project? So please, go into detail.
Yeah. So right after I graduated, I was the assistant to a former professor of mine. He had recently broken his hip and was trying to get back on his feet. And I was like, yeah, I'm graduate. I'm not doing anything. Let's do it. And so it started out as me being assistant, and it turned into him really needing professional care. And that was like that was the transition point for him of like, oh, I need to move to retirement. I need someone to take care of me. I can't take care of myself anymore, which is really difficult for him. But we became best friends in that time because we got so close, and he became one of my dearest friends of my life, and he passed away at the beginning of the pandemic, not from COVID, just from old age. But I while he was still alive, I had the idea to write a story about what we'd experienced, because it was such a special moment for me, special friendship for me. And I had this friend, his name is Ron Crawford, and he lives in New York, and he's an incredible actor. He's a New York actor. He's done a million things in TV, film, theater. And I had this trip planned to New York with my girlfriend a few years back, like 3 years ago. And I was like, well, I'm going to be in New York in a month, and I don't have anything planned after my trip. Why don't I just extend the trip, stay a few more days, and shoot a film with Ron? I have this story kind of like stewing. Why don't I just actually write this story? And then we'll throw it together, throw the crew together, and make this thing. And so I wrote it, and I called up Austin. We got coffee, and I was like, "Hey, I had this story idea. I had this script that I've written, And I know Austin has a very special relationship with his grandparents, and so I knew there was kind of that connection for him. And so I pitched the idea of him coming to New York at this time, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to be in Turkey the week before filming something else, but I have a layover in JFK, so I could just go to JFK, not get my connecting flight, and then stay in New York for a few days, and we can make the film happen." So that's kind of like how we threw it together 3 years ago.
Wow, I am impressed with both of your dedications. Like, okay, let's somehow make this happen and make this film.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, I was living out of a suitcase for like a month because we were shooting something. I had a layover in Turkey, but yeah, I was filming in Albania, and I remember we were staying in a castle when we were filming there. And Daniel sent the first draft, and I read it, and it just, it really connected with me. I think Daniel is an incredible writer. He obviously wrote it with his voice in mind, and his, write what you know too is like, the age old proverb. So he wrote a hell of a script. It did connect with me. My mom's a single mom who works full time. So I did get raised by my grandparents pretty much. So I was like around people in that, the character Tom age range all my life. And I think there's a special relationship there. And, and I knew a lot of students. I was a film production student at USC, so I only had one class with Michael Keenan, but a lot of students who worked with him, like Daniel, just, built something that that kind of mentorship that you like strive for. And when you go to like a film school like that, that's what he was able to provide. So I know, Daniel, we were able to, I think at one point share, maybe not fully completed, but a version of.
Yeah, it was really sweet. I shared the film, and he actually gave a really important note on
to
it.
Michael?
And
Michael was able to see this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was able to see it, and he gave a good note, and we actually did a little reshoot because of the note. So he's all over the film.
Oh, I love that. Oh man, I'm like too emotional for this. I'm gonna cry. So would you guys say that Michael was like the biggest inspiration for the character that Ron played, or was it multiple, like your grandparents too, Austin? Like was it maybe?
I think we each brought, I think we brought, it's fictionalized. Like, I don't think that's like a one-to-one recreation of Daniel's experience or even mine when I've been like an assistant before. I think we each brought some of that energy too. Like what you think you sign up for a certain job isn't necessarily, that was like, I think one of the early rewrites where I was kind of explaining to Daniel why I connected with it is that like, and I think it became a line in the film. It was like, I signed up to be your assistant, not your nurse. And I think that's like it's biting, it's real, it's a heavy thing to have to like articulate to someone, because you feel empathy for both parties in that equation. And I would say Michael was like obviously the source of the plot, but I think we each, and also Ron pulled, I'm sure, much of his own experience and people in his life. So I think everyone kind of had their fingerprints on the character of Tom and who it became. But I would say Michael Keenan was, of course, the inspiration.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. So Daniel, you were a wonderful actor in the film, so natural. I was a big fan of yours. I wrote this down. I wasn't going to say it because sometimes actors hate to hear people they remind them of, but like next Timothée Chalamet, do you get this all the time?
I've gotten that before.
Okay.
I appreciate it. He's great. He's fantastic.
He's wonderful. And like you are your own person, absolutely not the same, but like just the same level of just like excellence. Like what was important?
Play piano, do it right now.
Yeah, we can have time for that. Go ahead. No, so tell me, like, what did you relate to most? Did you just put your whole self into this character, or what did you relate to the parts of this character that you played? And you and Ron had such a good relationship in this. Was that already developed so you didn't have much rehearsals and you kind of went in there? Like, what was the filming process like playing this character?
Yeah. It's pretty close to home since it's based on my own personal life. I'm not playing myself, obviously, but there's certainly a lot that already resonates for me as a human being already within the story, also because I wrote it, so it was very easy for me to relate to the situation. And Ron is a dear family friend, and I've known him for many years. I just lucked out in growing up in a family that knew Ron Crawford and the Crawfords. His whole family was incredible. And so I knew that we would have the chemistry just to make this thing, have the sparks fly. And so he's a joy. He's like an absolute clown, a professional. He's amazing. He's so much fun to work with. And so I feel very, very lucky that he was available and interested and down to play with us. So it was very easy to collaborate with him. Yeah.
Shout out to Ron. You're phenomenal. Guys, so how long was the filming process?
We did 3 days, I want to say.
It was 2 full production days. I think the third was a little bit of like a kind of French hours or like splinter unit day, and then you obviously shot some of the park pickups at a later date with Alex and everyone. It was, I think, ended up being around 3 days if you wanted like accumulate every hour on set.
Right.
But we got some rehearsal times then. You never get as much as you'd like. And it was, Daniel kind of put this together as a passion project, so it was not a really vast shooting schedule and budget to work with, but it was enough for actors to play and explore. And I think just back to the note of the character, I think Daniel brought a lot of himself into it, but also Eli is a little sharkier than Daniel. Like Daniel's a sweetie pie. He's like one of the best reputations in our network of friends. And he's just the best, where I think he was able to tap into that kind of like schemy, a little bit of a social climber, at least maybe not social, but like educational career climber. And, but tapping into that, I think is what brought the character to life for him.
Absolutely. And Austin, what was important for you as the director to portray and really get out of these wonderful actors in this film?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to get, great performances on the screen that felt really authentic and natural. And, it's tough when you're fighting the elements. We still had a very, very tiny crew that is not like our usual productions, like on larger commercial sets or music videos. And it was just like a core group of best friends. Like it felt very like back to our roots, like you just have like one person running sound, one person operating camera, you get your actors and you're calling action, you're doing it all. But I think, the main thing was just finding that, as I mentioned, that tightrope walk of genre and that drama comedy space that, I think the kind of films that Daniel and I referenced, like watching, was a lot of Baumbach and Little Miss Sunshine. I think, anything that tackles family and those kinds of relationships and the delicacy of aging. And that's hopefully what we were able to achieve with it.
You guys definitely did achieve that. You both were producers on this project. Can you tell me about getting the locations when you guys came up with this shot list? Like, did you guys collaborate on this, or was it kind of you just started filming and saw what happened during the filming process?
Well, we lucked out on one of the locations, which is part of the reason why I wrote it the way that I did, which was that the apartment in the film is Ron's apartment, and it is
so perfect.
The museum. It's like an incredible. There's so much texture there, and so I was like, well, we have to film a lot of the film in that space because it has it's just so much. And Ron, my God, when I sent him the script, he like shot back. He was like, I'm down, I love it. And then he was like, I have some ideas. Here's the space. And Ron's a visual artist as well, so I don't know if you can see in the background there's some kind of like painting and stuff. That's all Ron. Wow. And he was like, here's a way that I can imagine orienting the office space. And then he drew how to arrange his office space and send it to me in a PDF. And I was like, I'm framing this image. This is incredible. Yes, all of it. So that's that space. And then the other spaces we can talk. You go ahead, Austin. You can talk.
Yeah, look, in New York, you could kind of get away with a little more run and gun stuff than filming here in LA. I will produce here in LA as well, and you got to work through film LA and the permitting system, and it's a lot, and you have to deal with parking. And when you have a tiny crew that's just kind of, taking the subway to set back and forth, it's a little easier to pop off certain shots and parks and subways. We kept a low profile. We worked out a deal with the little Italian spot across the street. Didn't have a lot of time in any of these places really, because also we had to be mindful of, it's Ron's home and space. So we're not going to take it over with a big crew and clear them out for a day or two. It's we had to be mindful of their quiet hours and stuff. So it was tricky, but I think we made it work. And it was not my first time directing, and I'd done some commercial work in New York, but it was my first time, I think, directing like narrative, like just like a smaller short film with friends. And it's just a really rich visual place to shoot it in. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. So, you guys explained how this is a passion project and you found the way to make it happen, and it came out beautiful. Obviously, the story is close to both of you. I would love to ask what you are hoping audiences get out of watching Almost Winter at the Garden State Film Festival or anywhere.
I think the people who have seen it that have touched me with their responses, people who have somehow seen their own personal life in there. People been like, I went through this with my grandparent, or all the questions that Eli's having about his personal life and his career are questions that I'm having. Like they can relate to their own life through the story is ideal. But I think ideally we just want to make people laugh and maybe shed a little tears.
Love it. Austin, what are you hoping people?
I suck at Daniel. Yeah, I think I don't know, just for anyone to watch it or don't. I don't know. It's a big festival. There's a lot going on, but we'd be very grateful.
Setting the standards low. Watch it or don't, like that.
IMO, baby. No, I think if it could kind of spark any kind of communication with people in your life that maybe you don't make time for, or that you've built that tension or resentment because of a certain relationship, to kind of just air out where you stand with one another, and but also appreciate the grand scheme of that relationship. Obviously, like there's the grandparent relationship and the boss relationship, but yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things to connect to. And Daniel, I mean, you just mentioned someone can see themselves or something along the words you said. And I have been a caretaker in my life for my mom, not even a grandparent. And I really related to it. And I appreciated how both the actors and Austin, this is like a shout out to your directing as well. You did it very honest and real and not like, you know, just throwing it out there. It was just very simple. So I just want to say it was wonderful all around. I think every element of this film is beautiful and relatable and honest. And congratulations to you both for achieving that. My last question for you guys. Oh, yes.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say also just that we'd be nothing without. We had a producer, Jack Rosman, who pulled it together as well with us. And my friend Dylan Moore was a cinematographer. Our friend Ben did sound. My friend Paulina did help out on a day. And then I'm blanking right now. Daniel, who helped with some of the wardrobe, because you guys had such like iconic.
Oh, Jessica Zavala. She's a New York-based costume designer who I worked with in the past in the film, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm down. You know, let's do it." You know, it's like a real ragtag group of people.
Did she come up with that orange winter jacket? Because that was good.
Oh, that's a Ron Crawford original right there. But she pulled it from his closet though.
And then our friend Mia, of course, who plays the waitress in the diner, did some producing work on it as well. And I'm sure I'm forgetting 1,000 others, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we thanked.
Please do. Shout out to everybody. If you guys want to add anything, definitely. But before we wrap up, I do need to ask you how you heard about the Garden State Film Festival, and you know, how's it feel having Almost Winter screen here at the 20th anniversary? It's a huge year, so
it's so exciting. Yeah. I feel like whenever I have a short film, I always do some research on Film Freeway and just through online like well-reviewed festivals, and this one just kept coming up, and so I was like, well, we have to submit there. And also it's a New York story, it's very close to New Jersey, and so I was like, well, I would definitely want to screen up in the tri-state area, and so it's very special to get to screen in that area where the film is based. And so New Jersey is across the river. We see it in the film. New Jersey has an appearance in the movie, so it's exciting.
Shout out to Jersey.
Shout out to Jersey.
Austin, are you proud of the film screening at the Garden State Film Festival? How you feel?
Oh yeah, super proud. Yeah, and I had heard great things. I have another writer-director friend, Julio, who I think had a feature, did some work with you guys before and spoke very highly of the festival and the fact that it's the 20-year anniversary. I mean, like, that's a huge accomplishment. I mean, we're very excited. This is gonna be my first festival that I'm like flying out to attend in person. So that's, a first in its own right that I'm very excited for. And yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Wow. Well, I'm so happy to hear you both will be at the festival. I know everybody watching will probably want to meet you guys. I know I'm hoping I get to see you guys at the festival. So thank you again for making Almost Winter. Thank you to everybody involved. You all did a wonderful job, and congratulations, because you deserve the success that I'm sure it will come. So let me tell everybody watching how they can see Almost Winter before we wrap up. It will be playing virtually, no matter where you are. You can access this online. Visit gsff.org for those tickets. But if you want to see it in person and perhaps meet Daniel and Austin, you can check it out Sunday, March 27th in Berkeley Hotel in the Continental Ballroom in the Film Block, 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. So definitely check it out. Thank you guys again. Congratulations, and I hope to see you at the festival.
Thank you. See you there.
Thank you guys. Yeah.